What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Connect 007 podcast, and I am your host, Thaddeus Sims. And today we're on our 10th episode, a double digit. And the title of this episode is Opening Up and Not Being Judged, Trust and Self-Doubt. Now, I want to give a special shout out to a good friend of mine who trusted me enough to open up with a struggle of his when it regards to connecting with people. And this was his. There was a post that I put on Facebook and Instagram, I believe, asking people some of the struggles or hangups that they go through. And they trusted me enough to share them. And I would like to, for maybe the next few podcasts, to just go over some of these struggles they went through. And I feel like it'll help not only just them, but it'll definitely help some of you who may go through this as well. I know a lot of the struggles that they share with me, I went through just about all of them. So I would like to definitely go in and help them out, help you guys out, and embarrass myself some more. So this is going to be pretty fun. But before going really into it, I wanted to let you guys know that I am going to be making some more shirts. I know I put a podcast, I think last podcast, about doing like a shirt giveaway, and it went very well. And a lot of people liked the shirts, and I'm going to make some more. But I wanted to ask you guys who listen to the podcast, is there any positive messages you would like seen on some of the Connect 007 podcast t-shirts if you were to buy them? So I'm going to make some more shirts and then have them up for sale and things like that. And just have some things going. But I just wanted your guys like input on it because I know you guys listen to the podcast. So I definitely want your input. Now, I have to share my fun fact. So this one is really nice. This is like very caring. The voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, Jim Cummings, calls children's hospitals in his spare time to cheer up sick children. And I found that to be like, wow, that was really touching. Like, you go above and beyond. Not only do you have like, a show, but you do that in your spare time. And I was just like, wow. No, I don't know. That humbled me in a way that I just felt right. So now let's dive into this podcast. All right. So opening up and not being judged, the whole trust and self-doubt. I struggle with this. I would say I struggle with this pretty heavy, like in my earlier years. My biggest thing is that growing up as a male child, I was, taught, suck things up and this, that, and the other. The man doesn't, display, his emotions and stuff like that. It wasn't exactly like that, but that's just kind of how I took it. And not only that, society doesn't help, but that's kind of how I was. And so that kind of changed into really not opening up much to other people. So I would always suppress, parts of myself, or a lot of myself, really. Now, when it came to my mom and family, I was myself. But when it came to other people, I was kind of like, nah, I don't know you like that. I'm not going to open up, and you might say something about me and blah, blah, blah. So I hesitated with that a lot. And I don't think I really, I would say maybe high school, I started to open up much more. I mean, in middle school, middle school is middle school. You just kind of go through middle school or whatever. But I would say it was high school for me. I started to open up a little bit more. But to even get there to opening up and wanting to, first thing I had to do was I had to decide to do it. I just had to make that decision. Honestly, I did it because I was just really tired of not being fully who I was. And just the whole suppressing myself, it just wasn't fun. I mean, I understood for me and just how I felt. And I just also understood looking at other people who have that. It's it leads to just bad health issues later on down the line. And I just didn't want to go through that. I just seen too many examples of people suppressing themselves and how it just triggers on and it just keeps going into their adult years, and people just never open up. And then when they do and they just let it all come out, it just doesn't end well. It's just like a big explosion. And that just didn't, that's something I wanted to avoid. So one, with the health issues and seeing too many examples, I just had to make that decision for myself. I need to start opening up. So I'm going to start doing it. And that led me internally to start being open. Now, what about the judgments? So what helped me with the judgments about others along my journey, a question I would say that came into my world was, I had to ask myself, whose judgments mattered the most? Those of others or those of myself? Now, if I choose others, I'd be thrown into a cycle of constant negative views, thought processes, and just too much. I would have never thought I was good enough. And or with that, I just would have never opened up because of all of that stuff, because of all of that with people and things like that. If I was to choose that their judgment mattered most. And also doing that is just because I would have chosen not to open up, which I kind of did. I pretty much gave power to the people over me. Like I pretty much gave them power over me. And I'd pretty much have to ask them back for that power, which they never had in the first place. So understanding that, having that question, that internal question with myself, that changed the game for me. You know, I just really had to ask myself, does their judgment over me matter most? And if I chose that, I seen how that would have been. But if I choose that the judgments that I have over myself, you know, gives more power than them, it like solidified something in me, and I stopped caring in a way. And that's in the beginning. Now it's a whole different story. But in the beginning, I stopped caring in a way. I stopped looking at, oh my gosh, what are you going to think of me if I share this? Oh my gosh, what if I tell you something weird about me and, you know, now you're going to think I'm a weird person. Like, oh my God, I don't want you to think that, you know? So I started focusing on, God damn it, how do I judge myself? How do I see myself? And that allowed me to really stop and take the eyes off others and look at myself and realize that. So in that whole, I would say that whole phase of my life, that just caused me to be a bit more self-aware of myself. Now, that didn't turn into a negative thing. That I would say just in the beginning, having that question, that was the beginning of the change that needed to happen. And later on down the line, things were added. You know, there was books, there was people, just a lot of good things later on down the line. But first I had to do that part myself. Focus on whose judgment matters the most. And that just helped with the judgments part as well. And not only that, is as a younger kid, with that, there was only one other person, that was my mother, who I chose to, you know, really receive that from, because I'm like, you gave birth to me, you know me, hell, you know more things about me than I know about myself at the moment, you know, I'm just a kid. So it was just, besides her and me, that's what helped with me. Another thing that helped me, going back with the opening up part, I hope that helped you with the judgment parts. That's just like the beginning. I'm going to tie this all in later. But another thing that helped with opening up was pretty much finding someone I could trust slightly, and I would test them, you know, by opening up small things about myself to just see how they'd respond. And if they pass those tests, eventually I tell them more stuff. That's if they pass. But let's talk about trust for a little bit more before I go further. So I would say I've noticed a lot of people struggle with trust today. That's just kind of like people just don't trust people. And I've come to learn that starts really at your early upbringing. Like when you're younger, we've all heard, you know, don't trust nobody. If somebody, when you're a kid, and our parents did it for the right reasons. Like, don't trust nobody, don't get in nobody's car, obviously, don't, follow just little stuff to protect us so we wouldn't, fall prey to some stupid stuff. But looking back at that, it was just part of that. I had to understand part of that too was just it set a seed for me to really just not trust people off the bat. And because of that, I was just very iffy when it came to people. Just in the beginning, I didn't know that to the degree, but when I was made aware of that, it changed the game. So what helped with that is that I had to fix that programming. I had to tweak it a bit. So I had to go back with which helped me with that was books, meditation, and reflection. So that helped majorly. So I had to reflect back on, okay, where did it start? Okay, our parents told us this. All right. Now, I understand, like I told you guys, I went through this and, our parents were trying to protect us. But now that I'm older and whatnot, you know what I mean? I'm not for to, get going in someone's van because they offer me some candy or chocolate. So let's say if I ate chocolate back then, if you, gave me some dark chocolate, with a little coconut in there and you said, hey, come in my van, little guy, that's chocolate. I'm probably not going to get that later. That's free chocolate. I'm an adult now. I know better to not go in the van. And I meditated on it, as well as like, okay, I need to tweak this in the sense of I need to tweak this to where I'm not just, distrusting of others. And also when I learned like how deep it goes with distrusting of others, it kind of made me feel uneasy and it led to maybe thoughts that I would have like, oh, no, this person might try to kill me or something like that. And it was like, oh, my gosh, why would I go that far? And again, society doesn't help with that as well. We're always constantly hearing the stuff that they choose to put on the news to tell us that people are killing people and things like that. But we're not going to go into that. So that I had to stop that. And then books as well helped me with the trusting with people. So after all of the programming that I had to fix and be aware, I just decided to just kind of I automatically trust people to a certain degree. And that was after, fixing my programs. I just had to trust people. I just decided, I trust people to a certain degree until they prove me otherwise. So off the bat, if I meet a person, besides if their vibes completely scream like, don't trust this person, that's a whole different story. But to a degree, I still kind of give them trust, but that degree is much smaller. Like, okay, I trust you to do your job. I trust you that they hired you, and I trust you to do your job to the ability that you signed up to be. But as far as me trusting you with stuff regarding myself or, my life, hell no. So but flipping that, I also met people, again, a certain degree of trust, and they would build upon that, I would get to know them. They, would share certain things about themselves that, their vibes felt right, or they would share their expertise with things. So it was like certain trust was developed in certain areas, and that worked out for me. So again, with that, I just automatically trust people to a certain degree unless they prove otherwise. So I hope that helps you with the trust aspect. Now, you are going to have to, again, pick up some self-help books to really take it deeper for yourself. This whole thing is just kind of bring awareness to maybe some of the things you may have or still do struggle with. And I would suggest maybe meditation, to some reflection, and also, again, some self-help books because it may be much deeper for you. And there's a lot of books out there that can help you develop that trust. And you may also have some past experiences with other people. So again, you may want to look into that and reflect in that. So again, this is just bringing you awareness and know that you have the power to change this. Now, tying this in with trusting and opening up with other people, I literally had to start. Like I said, in the beginning, I said I had to choose. I make that decision in the beginning to open up. And then I worked on the whole trust factor. So bringing that together, I actually share my first experience, which actually helped a lot. So in the beginning, I literally had a thought process of, which I learned later, that opening myself up, especially about emotional stuff and especially about stuff that's deep, I felt that people could use that against me. Distrusting. I felt that people would have something over me. I felt like they view me as weak. I was a pathetic, like, male and stuff like that. Like, I took it to that degree, growing up. And that's what led also to me not opening up to people, because like, I just didn't want people to know that. Like, no, I'm invincible. God damn it. I am heartless. God damn it. I had all of these negative things about me because I didn't want to open up. So once I made that decision to do it, I chose a friend who passed those few tests, and a certain scenario was coming up, and I was like, you know what, let me try this with him. And so I shared with him, I was like, I have a fear of embarrassment. I didn't really say it like that, but I was like, bro, nah, that's embarrassing, and I don't do anything that's gonna embarrass myself. Now, on my end, that's a big thing because I never told anyone that, at the time, that I was very afraid to embarrass myself. Like, if there is any chance that I could embarrass myself, I would not do it. I would not put myself in a position where people could laugh at me or view me as less than or things like that. Like, that would shatter me. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to experience that because of that fear of embarrassment. And so I told this friend, to the side, I was like, bruh, nah, that's embarrassing. I don't do anything that's going to embarrass myself, to be really honest with you. And he was like, you know what? He's like, I feel you, bro. He's like, I wouldn't want nobody to laugh at me either. But if you don't feel like you want to do it, I understand. We don't have to do it. And for me, that was a big ass moment. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't die by sharing something very, to me, that was a big thing. That was like a big thing for me. I didn't die. Oh my gosh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it could be. Oh my gosh, she was understanding. Wow. So that was a big impact on me, in the sense that, okay, I can share this stuff and I'm not going to die like I think it is, or it's not as bad as I made it out to be. And just his response alone was just, wow, like, okay, it really was a big impact on me. I don't think he knows this. But anywho, if he listens to this podcast, he'll know who he is. And that helped me out just to such a degree. Now, let's just say you don't know anyone that you can do that to. I always say work on those little tests of trusting people. And just to give you an example of just little tests is just, once you get to know someone, people reveal their character in a bit. You see how they are, how they react, how they respond. If you trust them to a degree, like I said, try something small. Be like, hey, man, I don't like something very small that really couldn't hurt you, that really couldn't, no one could really use against you. But like a small test, be like, dude, I don't like this color, or I don't like, wearing these things. It makes me feel insecure, and, if they say, really, like, are you serious? You really feel insecure? Like, you need to work. Then no, not to tell them more stuff. But if someone else, would be more understanding and actually help you out, it's like, oh, wow, okay, that works. Or for me, I would tell someone, like, another little test. I would say, I would ask them, like, so how do you feel about people who are a bit extreme? And it's like, well, what do you mean by extreme? Because, what do you mean? And I was like, you might want to, jump into a cave, cave diving. How do you feel about that? And it's like, oh, wow, I would totally do that. That would be super excited. I'm like, really? Okay. And I would do, this is just my example. You're going to have to find your own personal things that works to you. But this is just simple little stuff that I would do. And, over time, people would ask me, dude, why would you ask me about cave diving? Little do they know, like, to be honest with you, dude, I will jump out of a plane. I will bungee dive or bungee cord, whatever, bungee jump. I would do that. But when it comes to a cave, I'm a bit iffy on that. But I wanted to know how you'd respond to that. But, I shared that with them, like, I wouldn't do that because I'm a bit iffy, but these are just little tests that I would do. You have to find your own little tests and see if people pass them. And if they do, work with them to a degree and, to a degree that you're comfortable with. And eventually, if you trust them enough and you can, their character and, they ain't always telling you about so-and-so behind their back, pay attention to that, because if they say that about someone else, they say that about you. But, pay attention to that, and it works out for you. So back to that experience with the friend. Because of that experience, and I was so impacted by it, literally that gave me that gave me so much power that I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep expressing myself. I wanted to keep doing it, though it was uncomfortable. I will say it was very uncomfortable in the beginning process of constantly doing it, but I wanted to keep doing it so I did not keep suppressing myself, and I just wanted to open up more to people. I was just sick and tired of just not opening up, and that feeling of it just feels like you're like in a shell. I just didn't like that. I don't like shelling, I don't know, barricading myself up, and I just didn't really like that. But what I want to share with you, some of you who are working on this, one of the things, actually there's a few things, I had to write my little notes on this. So a few things that I learned from opening up is that I stopped giving others the power over me to open myself up or not. But I'm also aware of who I can choose to keep things private or not to, because of the tests that I did with them. Like I said, because of those tests, I can tell, okay, I can't trust you with that. And because I can't trust you, I need to keep this part of myself private because I don't like you like that. And because I do trust you, I can tell you more. So that helped me a lot. That really helped me with that whole power, and also just not giving him that power over me. Because again, like I said earlier, if you give power, if you give that power to people over you, in a way, it's kind of like a part of you is going to think, well, I need to go talk with that person and get that power back, from them. And for me, I'm a very extreme person mentally. So I don't know if this will help you out. You may even laugh at this, but for some of you who are maybe extreme like me, I always play the scenario in my head, like, let's just say there was somebody named Ken, and I gave Ken that power over me. I literally think of myself on my knees begging to Ken, oh my gosh, Ken, can you please give me my power back so that I can open up to other people? I would really appreciate it, Ken, almighty one, please. Oh, savior, please give me that power back. Give me, I think of stuff like that. And just the thought of that, it throws my soul into whack. And it's just I don't want that. I don't see that happening for me. And it just irks me. So I think of these things because it's that is totally not who I am. And that is not what I'm going to do. I refuse to give people power over me. And that just changed the game for me. You're probably laughing at that, but I'm so serious. That's just how I look at it when it comes to giving your power to people over yourself. It's not cool. Another thing that I learned is that when I opened up more, it allowed those I'm connecting with to open up to me. It's just good energy. I can meet really cool people, new people, never met these people. And they start telling me the deepest, most, things that you don't normally tell a person. But I love those things because I'm yes, let's just dive right into it. I don't like that surface level stuff. But they just start telling me, things that they go through, fears, family stuff. God damn it. They almost did some suicidal stuff 2 months before today. And what they learned from it and how they feel now. And I'm just in my head, I'm always damn, you really trust me. And that's not in I'm going to do something. It's just it just always shocks me. Wow, you are really comfortable with me. But I love this. I'm totally okay with this. I love this because this is just awesome. We're just connecting, and that's what I love. So it's just it always just shocks me. And it'll be people, I'm telling you what really gets me. It'll be people that don't look it at all. A lot of people would look at people and think, oh my gosh, this person has money. This person has he or she is good looking, or they have a good looking spouse and their family's just perfect. And you just think, oh my gosh, things are perfect. And then when they talk to you, It's not. And it's just like, wow. And I tell them, I always tell like people like that. I'm just like, man, to be honest, I would have never known. Like, you're always smiling. You just seem like you are enjoying everything. And they would just tell me certain stuff. And it's just like, wow. And of course I help them. Let me say this, guys. They don't just tell me stuff. Like I help them. And I find that some of the stuff that they've going through, I've kind of went through it in a degree. And when we talk, it helps them out. And we just become really good friends and we just connect. It's just super cool, dude. So that's one thing I learned. And an awareness that I've also gained, I would say, and also learned is that because I've been opening up, I'm never ever tight or tense around people. I'm just completely comfortable in my own skin and like the space that I'm in. So I'm never like, ooh, this person's looking at me. You that's just the feeling. Like when you're just around a big crowd, you kind of feel like that. I'm not going to say physically, but you just feel like you're closed in a bit or you're just around people you don't know. So immediately you get on your phone, so you're not uncomfortable. And for me, once I started opening up more, it doesn't bother me. I can just go in a crowd. I can go around people I don't know and I'll just be pretty chill. I just comfortable. So that just helped me a lot with that. Now, moving things to self-doubt. And I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot, actually. And I didn't really struggle with it externally to a degree. Well, not that I'm aware of, but I would say from inside looking out, I didn't really struggle with it to a degree where you can notice it on the outside, unless you're probably someone who went through it and got over it. You can probably recognize it in me. But I went through a lot of self-doubt internally, and maybe you guys go through it too. And to give you an example of that, for me, how it always sounded, literally, I would get excited about doing something, and the first thought that I would do is I would tear myself down from not doing it. Like an example, oh man, I would love to do. Now I want to give you guys a real life example, something that I wanted to. Let's do yoga. Yeah, let's do hot yoga. Okay, in the beginning, yeah, okay, yeah. I wanted to do yoga. And I was like, and I was like, no. I was like, yeah, man, I'm excited. That looks really cool. They stretching, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that because I'm not even that flexible like that. I'm a little heavy, and I'm a little fat. You know what I mean? And, I don't want to do that. And then I think you have to take your shirt off. And you have to sweat. Nah, I'm cool. I ain't going to do it. And I found that I did that. Nah, I'm not going to do that. And I would convince myself to not, just because of the doubts that I had over myself. And you guys may recognize that in your own thought process. You may be excited to do something and immediately you'll say no, or maybe not. You'll stop yourself in some way or form and you convince yourself of why not to do it. But then a part of you is just super excited and you want to do it, but you keep cutting yourself down. So that is something that I went through, and I had to really kind of convince myself a lot to do a lot of things in the past. I mean, now I just do stuff, but if there's certain scenarios where I'm like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. That's the majority of the reason now I can say it's more of the reason, I don't know all the safety with that. So no, at the moment until I further do research. And then after that, okay, we'll do it. But that was some self-doubt that I had to go through. Let me see. Another thing that helped with that, it was just in my actions too. I wanted to play certain sports, but I doubted myself because I was like, I don't really know how to throw perfectly. Let's take about Frisbee. I really wanted to do. Well, I do it when I can, but at the time I wanted to throw the Frisbee. I'm like, what if I throw it and it completely goes to the right, and it just people looking at me like, bro, who's over there? I would doubt myself with that, and I learned that in these different areas that I doubted myself, they came to light in another area, especially when it came to just connecting with people. So before I really kind of get into all of that, is you have to recognize the thought process, that your self-doubt and your actions and how you feel. Now, you may already know this, like, duh, I know this. That's why I said I have self-doubt. Now, some solutions, I'm going to always tell you this, guys, in just about every solution of mine is self-help books. Why do I keep saying self-help books? Invest in yourself. When you invest in yourself, you're building yourself. You're making yourself more aware. You're getting solutions to fix stuff. A lot of these things you can fix. You have the power to do so. You just have to go to that bookstore, spend that $7.99, maybe $17.85, you know what I mean, on that book, and change your life. And hell, let's just say, oh, well, I don't got the money. Baby, download. There's little PDF files. Download them, read them. In fact, you on your phone anyways. Like, do it for yourself. Literally, it will change your life. So you have some self-doubts, pick up some books, self-doubt books, and it's okay. And you know what? Some of you may be a little afraid to go on self-help books because someone might see you in there. But honestly, self-helping yourself is the new sexy right now, because it's like, dang, people are aware people got issues and people are working on that. So you might meet somebody, you might meet somebody in that self-help section and they might be like, oh, okay, you kind of good looking. Oh, you got a little self-doubt you struggling with? Hell, me too. We can work on it together. Boom. Now you're in a whole new relationship and y'all building each other. See, I'm out here throwing facts for y'all. I'm trying to save y'all lives, connect y'all with Mr. and Mrs. Right. Y'all better go in that whole section and just go in there and help yourself. But I'm for real though. Self-help books really help you guys out. Another example I want to give is with the solution is my mentor kind of gave me some examples that helped with a little doubt of myself. And it was more towards like my ability to do things. And this one is kind of a bit in rejection, the rejection department, but it helped in my self-doubt area. Is that, a part of the whole self-doubt was I wanted to help people, but I feel like they would have kind of rejected me a little bit. And so he gave me this example about like ketchup. Like if you were a server, which actually worked out because I am a server, if you offer someone ketchup, and if they say no, they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to the ketchup, so you shouldn't feel bad, And also, if you wanted to hang out with someone and they say no, they're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to the experience that you offer. So that really helped me out as far as like, it is weird, but it just helped me out in that whole self-doubting thing, because I doubted my ability of things and I figured people would notice that. And that just was like, you know what? Actually, no, they're not. It's, I do have the ability to do it. I know I can, but I'm doubting myself to do that. And I feel like they're just going to say like, no. And that's just going to really just add on to like, okay, maybe I can't do this, but that actually helped me out. And another thing is with my self-doubt is when it came with connecting with people is that I've always thought of myself like, oh my gosh, what are they going to think? Or are they going to know that I can't do this or I can't do that? And I was just kind of very very focused on myself. And I had to learn to stop focusing on myself and really just focus on others, in the sense of taking the attention off myself and putting it on them to get to know them more. And that helped me with not constantly thinking of the things that I'm possibly not good at or this, that, and the other when talking with people. So that helped as well with the self-doubt, so to speak. Also, too, new people, they don't know the negatives that you have. So you don't really have to think about that. Another thing is with the self-doubting is I really had to shift that thinking of like what I'm good at. And I really had to build myself up on that. There were certain things I did not doubt myself in. And I understood that when you really exceed in one area, it can bleed into another, like bleed on into another effect. And what I mean by that is I know that I have this weird ability, or so to speak, that when I learn something or I see it, I can like I don't know. It's I can't use an anime example because a lot of people don't watch anime, but I would say I just have this weird ability. If I see something and I understand it, I can make it into my own thing. Or if I play a game and I see someone do a move and I'm like, oh my gosh, that move looks really cool. All I need to know is how to do that move, and I can master that move into many different ways. Like I can just do it into many cool different things. And I knew that I had that. Or when it came into like drawing, I'm not like amazing. I will tell you that. Because I'm surrounded by some cool, amazing drawers and they're awesome. Now I'm sure if I worked on it, I could do that too. But for now, I'm not amazing, but I'm really good at drawing an idea that I have in my head. And if I'm trying to explain to someone, okay, I want something to look like this, and they're looking at me like, what? I can literally draw that idea so they can understand what I am trying to portray. I'm trying to bring it out of my head into visuals for them. I can do that amazingly. And I had to work on those things. I had to be aware of those things that I'm good at and focus on that. And that built up myself, and that allowed me to really stop doubting myself. It's like, you know what? If I could do this in this area, I'm really sure if I apply that same energy over here, it'll help me out. So what I'm saying is find something that you know that you're really good at, an area that you don't doubt in whatsoever at all. Someone tell you to do it, you can exceed that and then some. You can blow their whole world with, what it is, and use that confidence and that non-doubt into other different areas and ask yourself, okay, if I want to connect with someone, but I doubt myself in that, okay, let me see, what is it that I'm good at? So for a good example is like, okay, I'm really good at a game. So I know if I see something, what is it? Like, what do? I just get excited. I know if I see it, I can do it. So if I can bring that same energy here with this person, like, okay, I know I'm good at this. And I've seen other people. I really started thinking like, wow, I've seen other people talk to people. They smile. They seem like they have some type of confidence. They ask them questions, and I know I would start to think like I do with the game in the area of connecting with people. And I'm like, wait, I can do that. And then boom, I'll start doing it. And when I get good results, that builds up that confidence, that builds up like, wow, I need to stop doubting myself. I start to disbelieve in myself. I start to stop self-doubting myself and start to really believe more in myself, and it just works out. And next thing you know, you just stop doubting yourself, and then you can tell people what you went through with that. So I hope that helped you guys with this. Again, pick up them self-help books. You never know. And I also want to thank that good friend of mine's again for opening up and sharing what he goes through. And I hope that this helps you out, bro. You're awesome. And for the rest of you all, maybe this shed light in different areas of your life, and maybe it'll help you. I know looking back at this has really helped me out a lot when it comes to a lot of things. And I'm able to recognize this in a lot of other people. And it's funny, but because I was the type who always closed myself up, when I recognize people who do that, they are my favorite targets. If I recognize that, I will literally not ignore, but I will hone in on this person. And I'm like, my mission is to break you out of your shell. And I don't do it in a rude way. I do it in a chill way. But it's like, nah, man, you got to break out of that. Are we finna do that? And a lot of people are like, but what if they like being in their shell? I'm like, yeah, I hear that. But it's still fun for me. I just love it because I'm like, dang, I was there. And then I get to talk with them. But not only that, too, be them quiet ones. That just has like so much information and they just know a lot more than they say. And people just be ignoring them because they quiet. I'm like, nah, everybody over here talking. You quiet? Nah, I want to know what you thinking, man. Madam. I just love doing that. And then people who are just not trusting, I just recognize that. I'm like, I get it, and I still talk with them and stuff like that. And I don't know, just the more I talk with them and they just trust, it's kind of like I feel like I'm being that example. Like there are some human beings that, you can actually trust and they're not all crazy and bad. And then just with the self-doubt, I can recognize that in other people. But I also, when it comes to self-doubt and I recognize that in people, I always recommend self-help books because there's nothing I can say. You have to do that from the inside, and you have to work on that because people can tell you all these good things about yourself, but unless you made the decision to want to stop and pick up some books, then it ain't gonna change. So that being said, I hope you guys got a lot from this podcast. You guys are amazing. And an update, I believe we're reaching 200 downloads. I think we were at 182 when I looked at it. So we're reaching 200 downloads. You guys are amazing. I appreciate the feedback from you guys. For real, for real. You guys are amazing. Seriously. So thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. Also, thank you for the new people who are just now tuning into the podcast. And I think I gave a shout out earlier, but I also think we are starting to get into Australia. Last time I looked at the statistics, there is someone, I'm not sure, who is listening in Australia. So I would like to say, on behalf of the states, United States, thank you. This is the good part of the United States. So thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate you. So with that, you all have a fantastic day, and I will talk with you next Tuesday. Later.